So today I'm going to start with, we're going to go over the this comment that was made by a fellow law tuber, Joe of Good Logic, where he came at my good friend, who is a very good guy and does very good coverage on his channel, Meme Copium. Josh, he's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for many, many years. He's a fellow expat over here in Asia. He's a Kiwi and Australian. I don't hold that against him. But he was attacked and kind of slandered by Joe of Good Logic. And I want to correct the record there and kind of set things straight on that, because, you know, one of my faults, if I have a fault, is that I am really defensive of the very few people that I call my friends. And for content creators, I usually am very wary to put them in that category. But you know, Josh has always been a great friend. He's a stand-up dude. I don't imagine he's going to be arrested anytime in Japan for cocaine and abuse of children. He doesn't have any children. So I think we're going to be good. My bet is on that Josh and I are going to be good friends for a very long time. A lot of these creators, even these law tubers that I know watch my channel, I know they're watching me. I know they're watching the clips of my channel. And I know they know that I've said repeatedly, one thing you don't do on the internet is you do not punch down and in a haughty position try to dismiss a smaller creator, because at some point we were all the smaller creator. So to look at a smaller creator and say, I'm better than you is and not give an objective reason, or at least try to help them, being like, hey, you know, you need to improve, you need to do this or that. I'm not trying to hurt anybody or put anybody in a bad position. I want them to do better. I've known about this case against Joe for at least 6 months, if not a year now. I've known about this and I didn't talk about it. I didn't use it as a grift. I could have hit him back. I could have hit him when he, you know, went full, you know, nose guard and was protecting Nick and, you know, kind of saying some wild things about anybody who was a detractor, or by detractor, meaning covering it objectively. I could have, but I didn't. Right. Now this came out, this news about his judgment. Good Logic got a $117,000 judgment. We're going to watch his video explaining it in just a second. I could have used that against him. I did not. Right. Because that was not my intent. And also I acknowledge, right, I acknowledge that Joe in a way was my kind of legal, I don't want to say senpai, but he brought me in a way to LawTube. He was the one who first had me on, and then I got on Eric Hunley's show, and then I got on Nick's show, and then it was the Rittenhouse trial very shortly after that, and just everything blew up after that. Everything we just took off from there. So in a way, I feel some level of deference for Joe, right? But even if I felt that level of deference and appreciation, which I do appreciate, right, that does not mean I'm going to hold back from being objective and hold out from calling out somebody when what they're doing is wrong and what they're saying about my friend is completely wrong, and it's really nasty and it's sour grapes. So once again, I think the hallmark of a person who is trying to help you, right, is someone who's trying to get you to pull up, right, trying to get you to course correct.
I'm probably going to be having to address this on Saturday night, because now meme code. Like the people who are like desperate to like find some sort of content, they're like, ooh.
So desperate to find content. So he mentions Meme Copium. Once again, Sean also covered it, but very, very interestingly, he doesn't mention Sean, despite the fact that Sean was on his 100K celebration stream like a day or two ago. So he decides to intentionally single out Meme Copium, a smaller channel who's a non-lawyer, right? He's just a guy who likes the law. He likes LawTube stuff. He's been actually involved in covering LawTube since Rittenhouse Depp era time, because he's just interested in that. He finds it very interesting. So he's been covering that for a while, but he's not a lawyer. But other lawyers were covering that, and we're covering this issue, Sean specifically.
Oh, his video borders on slander? I'm probably going to watch
his
it.
video is not slanderous, whatever. I don't know who said that in the chat. His video is not slanderous, whatever, at all whatsoever. And Meme Copium has been covering a lot of different topics. He's covered Ricada, he's covered Nick and his saga, and now he's covered just Joe's stuff here. But he's also covered stuff like Rings of Power. He's also covered stuff like weird stuff in Japan. The guy's covered a lot of different topics. He's covered Chris Chan, right? A lot of different stuff that's interesting out there on the internet, stuff that's kind of fun. He's covered a lot of different topics, not just this specific topic. So it wasn't like he was going out here like, ooh, it's my time to get Joe. When you're out there as a content creator and you're covering these type of topics, you're covering LawTube in general, and you all of a sudden have a complaint, and your chat is asking for you to do it, people are requesting for you to cover this. And I frankly think he covered it in a very fair and objective way. And the funny thing is, a lot of the comments he makes and has made, he makes without ever viewing the video himself, because he has already said he hasn't watched it, right? So you're making these comments without deciding whether or not this person covered you fairly or unfairly. And to be honest, even Meme Copium said he likes Joe. He doesn't have any problem with Joe, right? So this coming out and making really aggressive statements and calling him slanderous, etc., without ever even watching his video is perhaps something you should do beforehand, right?
I'll probably watch it saying, how long is his video? An hour and 44 minutes? An hour and 44 minutes.
Covering that hour and 44 minutes will be the best coverage he's had in a while. By the way, we'll talk about his numbers, because I think Joe thinks he's punching down here, but actually, in a way, he's actually punching up, because Meme Copium is actually beating him in most metrics, which perhaps is something behind a little bit of the salt here. But we'll get into that.
Wow, an hour and 44 minutes. Schadenfreude. People. Oh my gosh. All right. A live. All right. Trust me, if there's $100,000 judgment against Meme Copium, no one would actually care.
See that's just a petty ass comment. Come on, Joe. You're better than that, man. You're better than that. Okay. First of all, I would care, right? And I know he's got a lot of friends. They would care too. But guess what? There's no judgment against him, because he didn't commit cross-state violations of federal law, right? I mean, so instead of trying to say, hey, nobody cares about this guy and attack him in that way, which once again, you don't know him that well. Now, mind you, Joe and Meme Copium have actually been on stream together. In fact, I think they've been on my stream together. I don't recall which stream exactly, but I think I've invited both of them on in the past when I used to do panels, which I don't do anymore because they're Drama City, USA, right? And there's always crap with panels. But, these guys have been on stream together. They had an amiable relationship. And then to flip like this without thinking quickly, I think Joe's better than this. He should be better than this.
I won't actually bother with that. So he's been in a mudslinging mood ever since Nick. Like, I don't know.
See, and that's another thing too. So to me, it's like, okay, is this really about you, or is this about Nick? And is this really about the fact that you're not happy at people covering Nick, whether it's Sean, Meme Copium, me, Nate, Uncivil, which all have been very fair. I mean, if you look at the coverage, of those that have covered these issues, it's been pretty neutral. And frankly, once again, I think Meme Copium actually said this himself, the hammer always enjoys hitting the nail until it becomes the nail, right? So all of a sudden you're the subject of the coverage. And when someone does the exact same coverage that you are doing on a routine basis of legal cases of other people, right? And then all of a sudden it's your coverage, it's a problem, or they're a loser, or they're a mook, or whatever else you wanted to call them, right? A mudslinger, right? It's weird.
He's the classic. I mean, this is like your classic, loser trying to punch up.
Loser trying to punch up. So we're gonna go and how much of a loser he is in a second. I got another 20 seconds here, but loser trying to punch up.
But I do need to address this $117,000 judgment, because a lot of people are going to have questions about it. It is what it is. And if anything, I think it makes me look sympathetic. It's like, wow, you make one mistake and all of a sudden you get hit with 117,000. That's pretty insane. It's pretty freaking insane.
Okay. So that happened. Okay. So that was his statement. So we've now heard that's a clip of his statement. Obviously he had a fuller stream, but those are the ones I really wanted to get at because it was coming at my buddy here. Now, Good Lawgic has just hit a certain milestone. Okay. So he's hit a certain milestone of 100K subs, which is great for him. Good for him. It's a great milestone, should be celebrated. That's really awesome. Cool, 100K subs. But there's a certain point at which when you get larger as a content creator that you feel like you can now have the power to call people losers because they're not where you're at with subs. So if you look at him, he's at 102K subs. And he looks over and he probably looks at Meme Copium and he looks at his channel and he goes, oh, Meme Copium, look at him. He's got 17.9K subs. What a loser. He's a loser. He's only got 17.9K subs. What a loser. You know what? I remember when both Joe and I had sub 10K subs. Both of us were there. We were both there at that same point. Were we losers then? Right? Were we losers then? The funny thing is, if you look at Meme Copium's numbers, look at these streams here. 24K views, 20K views, 19. Let's go back over to Joe for a second. Let's go back over to Joe's recent streams. Let's look at this. 11K views, 12K, 7.9K, 11K. Is Joe who's the loser? Are we going by subs or views? Because to me, maybe you could also make an argument you're a loser if you've got 10x the subs almost and you've got less views. So who's the loser? Who's the real loser here? And what metrics are we going on? What is your metric for success? Who's a winner and who's a loser? I really, that comment in particular really pissed me off. And that was the one that made me say, I got to do this video, because coming down and punching down at people, it not just violates the rules of the internet, but it's just wrong here. And to me, it almost looks like sour grapes, because he's covering stuff. He's getting attention. He's getting coverage. He's getting viewers. And you're trying to take that away from him by calling him a loser. Yeah. Am I a loser because I have less views too? Yeah. Whatever. Right. I have less views in some of my videos than Meme Copium. So if anything, Meme Copium's the chat in here. Right. I do hope Joe pulls up on this one and maybe he just issues an apology and says, hey, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry, Meme Copium, for saying that about you. That's not true. I watched your stream and it was fair coverage. Same with Sean, same with anybody else, same with me, same with anybody who covers these issues, that it was objective and fair, because I think that he can be better than this. And I think that he can pull up from this.